The following are true scary stories found on the subreddit Let's Not Meet. I'll have a link in the description below if you would like to read along with me. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you can catch all of my future content. Let's begin. So this happened this past winter, one weekend night in a house my fiance and I were living in. I should mention that this house wasn't in the greatest area in Delaware. Kind of sketchy at night, but it didn't seem all too horrible since all of the neighbors seemed to have kids or pets. It was just a temporary living situation before we could find our own house to rent. Anyway, my fiance decided to go out that night and have a couple of drinks with his friends. But this particular night, I just did not feel like going out and being up late. I was really tired from school, and I just wanted to stay home and cuddle with our dog on that cold night. The evening was going fine, like any other casual night, and I ended up falling asleep. When I woke up, it was really late and I woke up suddenly. I noticed my fiance wasn't home yet, and this sorta made me worried, and also a bit annoyed because he told me he would be home a little early so we could hang out before bed. When he finally got home, we got in a mini argument, and I was sullenly staring out our bedroom window. Another detail to note, our bed was up against the wall, right next to the window that was ground level and looked out over the front lawn and the street. So as I'm whining about him coming home late, and simultaneously staring out at the faded yellow street lamp, I noticed this dark figure walking down the street, and at a rather fast pace too. This immediately piqued my interest, and I kept watching from the safety of my room. Keep in mind, it was a pitch black winter night, and if it hadn't been for that street lamp, I wouldn't have noticed a thing. As well, our room light was on, so from the outside it was very obvious people were inside and we were clearly visible were anyone to look in. So after he stops in his tracks, he turns his head and looks me straight in the eyes, and I never felt so vulnerable and out in the open than I did in that moment. It gave me the absolute chills, and I had the worst vibes from that one look. My heart just dropped. It was the coldest glare ever. It didn't help that I was only wearing a thin lingerie type shirt and no pants whatsoever, only underwear. The look was one of pure intrigue all of a sudden, like his mad rampage was on halt for a second, and he wasn't expecting to see me sitting there with a frown on my face. After that too long of a look, he just picked up his speed again and continued his fast walking pace down the street. I immediately stopped giving my fiancé shit about coming home late and said,
"Babe, did you see that? I did not like that one bit. That was super weird."
My fiancé didn't see the guy because he was on the other side of the room changing out of his clothes and getting ready for bed, while I was chewing his ass for being late. He was just confused and agreed that yes, it was weird. But the guy walked away, so there was not much we could really do. Out of the corner of my eye, I suddenly sense movement and see this black dark silhouette just inches away from my window and my face, slowly creeping out from behind our bush shrubbery and reaching for the window. All of a sudden I just lost my shit and started screaming my fiance's name, pointing and screaming,
"It's him! It's him! That's the guy!"
This dude was 2 seconds away from prying the window open. Luckily it was locked, and we could tell that there was some kind of object in his hand. My fiancé leapt at the window in rage and banged violently on it, roaring, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing?" This was enough to scare the guy, so he proceeds to grin and runs away down the street in the direction that he had come from. My fiancé chased after him, but he was too far gone already. The fucker was fast. Our roommate, his girlfriend, and a friend were home at the time, thankfully, and they happened to be outside smoking and drinking on the porch. They came running inside, asking what the hell was going on. I was wrapped in a blanket, shivering, and scared as hell, crying, and the dog was nervous too, so we all ran upstairs into the bedroom and locked all of the doors. The really creepy part is my roommate said that they had actually noticed him for hours as he was walking up and down the street like that for a while, and he would see them, but he would never really say anything. They thought he was weird, but they didn't really do much about it. What's even scarier to think is that he may have noticed me sleeping throughout that entire time of him pacing back and forth in front of our house and down the street. Who knows? Needless to say, I was rattled and nervous at what this man was up to, as I sincerely know his intentions were no fucking good. I could feel his nasty vibes from so far away. I have a feeling that he was on some kind of drug. He looked most certainly cracked up or something. After that, we put a really creepy clown picture in our window, so if he were ever to look in again, he would become face to face with something just as creepy as him, and send him a message to not fuck with us. This all happened around 3 years ago. I was 16 and just moved from Malbork, Poland to a small town in America. I barely spoke English and had trouble making friends. The only friend I had was my neighbor Alex. The only reason I became friends with Alex was because I had heard her dad say some words in Polish. I walked up and said in English, "Do you speak Polish?" She replied saying yes, and we continued to talk and eventually started to date. She would translate things for me and help me to learn English. Fast forward a couple of months, and Alex and I are in her house watching a movie. Her living room had a lot of full-body windows that are usually covered with curtains, and I got a feeling like we were being watched. I kinda just shook it off as I continued to watch the movie. Soon we heard knocks on the door. They started as quiet, but got louder and louder. I yelled, "Kto to jest?" Translated to "Who is it?" No reply. After that, the windows behind us shattered. I grabbed Alex's hand and ran to her parents' room. She called the police as I pushed myself against the door as it had no lock. I heard beating against the door and many voices speaking, yelling, "We'll get through there eventually and get you." Alex went to the closet and grabbed a handgun. She handed it to me and sat down, putting her weight against the door. I yelled, "The police are on the way, and I have a gun." The men continued to hit the door, and eventually the police came. The 3 men were linked to a murder, and all 3 of them got life sentences. I'm just glad that the police got there before the door was broken down. I can't even imagine what would have happened to Alex or I if the police had never came. I just hope to never see them again, or even see a picture of them again. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you can catch all of my future content. Also, on my other channel, Fear Your Maker, I put out my first paranormal video. It's also a viewer submission video. I'll have a link in the annotation on the screen, as well as in the description below for all of you mobile users. I really appreciate all your support, and if you'd like to talk to me on a more personal level, make sure you add me on Facebook. I'll have a link in the description. And just remember, it's always scarier if it's true.